Welcome to another Snap tutorial. This video is going to show you how to use coordinates in Snap to draw shapes. So the first thing we need to talk about is the dimensions of the stage. So everything you draw is going to be in the stage in the top right. And no matter how large you make it here, it still has the same coordinates. It works very similar to your algebra and geometry classes. So what I'm going to do is real quick, I'm going to put on the stage kind of an overlay of what the grid looks like, just so you have some idea. So if you go down to stage, and then we're going to go up here to backgrounds on this tab, and then we're going to click file and go down to backgrounds. And if after it loads, you'll find that there's one called XY grid. If you import that, now we can see that our stage has this background. Now the problem with this grid is that it only counts by 100, so you can't really fine-tune it that much. We'll get some graph paper for that in a minute. But you can see sort of how it works. So the center is 0, 0, x values go up to 240, so the very edge is 240 on the right, and negative 240 is the very edge on the left. Up and down it doesn't go quite as much, so it only goes up to 180 on the y, and negative 180 is the very bottom of the screen. So that will help us kind of get some idea of where we're drawing. If you want to be a little bit more precise, sometimes it's helpful to just get some graph paper out. So I have some graph paper here. Let's say we want to draw like a real simple shape. So I don't know, we're going to get something, maybe we'll draw like a real simple house. So I'm going to draw some coordinates. This graph paper counts by tens. Each line is 10. So it's a little bit easier. So maybe I'll start up here. My first point, just going to draw a house. Just drawing some coordinates. In a minute we're going to connect the dots with them and you'll see how it's going to work. I'm trying to make it symmetrical, but it doesn't matter too much if it is or not. Alright, so this will be my first point. The order you connect them, oh, let's draw that straighter than that. The order you connect them does matter. Now it's real hard for me to draw with my mouse, but you'll get the idea. The order of these points matters. It will look much nicer when I draw it on Snap, you'll see. So let's just get some coordinates down and then I'll show you kind of how to start. So this one right here, the x value is at 0 and the y value is at 130. So that's 0, 130. We're going to graph all these points in a second. The second point is, it goes up 100 and then a couple more. So let's say that's 130 on the x and the y value is up 50. The third point right there, it's at 100 and has the same y value of 50. This one is 100. Now this one's going down, so the y value is negative 100. Okay, and this point is, they're both negative 100 because it's left and down. This one is negative 100, positive 50 because we're going up again. This one is negative 130. And positive 50. Now we're going to need to use this point again, so we're going to start and end with this 0, 130. And this is going to make a house. So let's go to Snap and let's kind of talk about how to do that. I'll show you some examples. All right, so we are going to go back to our sprite because that's where we're going to put the code. We're going to go to scripts and we are going to start with maybe just when a flag is clicked just to get our code started. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear the screen and we're going to put the pen down. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the first coordinate. So the first coordinate I had from my graph. And if you have the graph paper with you, it's easier to reference it here. So it's 0, 130. So we're going to get a go to, it says 0, 130. Now it's not going to draw a line yet until I have a second point. So let's go get my second point, which was 130, 50. So we're just going to get another one of these. And we're going to do 130 for the x and 50 for the y. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to click on this and then we're going to see what happens. All right, so it drew the line. So it drew this first line, which is exactly what I wanted. So let's add the third point and the fourth point, and we'll keep trying. I recommend you do just a couple at a time. Try it, see what's happening, and kind of add as you go. So the next one's 150 for the y, and then 100, negative 100. So let's add two more. 150, and then 100, negative 100. All right, now when I run it, All right, so that looks great. We have this edge of the house and it's going great. Now, if I run it a second time, I get this extra line here. The reason this extra line exists is once this code is run once, the sprite ends up down here. When I run it a second time, it jumps up to the very top, but the pen was still down from before because I never picked the pen up. One way of kind of dealing with that is to just put the top point above the clear. So what that'll do is now it'll go to the top point, it'll clear, and then it will start drawing afterwards. So it just cleans it up a little bit. I'm going to real quickly add these other points. So we have negative 100, 100, negative 150. And then our last points are negative 130, and then we're going to go back to the start. All right, and then the starting one we're just going to put again, which was 0, 130. And we're going to run this. And oh, it didn't quite line up. Oh, that's because I typed 120. All right, let's try it again. All right, that's beautiful. If we want to go to the stage and go back to just the empty background, we can. Let's say, I mean, this is perfect. We can add, if we wanted to add doors and windows, you can add some other blocks. You can add pen up. You can go to a new coordinate. Let's say I wanted to draw a window. I could pick the pen up. I could go to a new coordinate, put the pen back down, do some more coordinates for the window, do some for the door. This block right here, set pen color, will change the color of the line, and set pen size. If I made this larger, it would be a little bit thicker. So we'll just play around with these real quick, just so you have some idea. I do want you to experiment with some of this on your own. Picking the pen up, drawing some more coordinates, putting it back down. You can add as many of these blocks as you want. It'll work great. So let's say for 1 second, let's say you have one of these points wrong. So I'm just going to change this one to, I don't know, positive 100. And when you run it, you'll notice that something is wrong, but sometimes it's hard to tell which of these blocks it is. So a good debugging technique is to use these visible stepping. So if I turn this on and I turn all the way to the left, so I'm just sliding it to the left. Now when I run my code, it doesn't run it all at once. It just starts it off, and then I have to manually hit this yellow play button, I guess, and it'll go through the code one at a time. So now it's cleared, and it'll highlight the block as we go. And so I'm just going to keep going. And then you can see once it makes the mistake, like I see graphically on the stage, this line is not where I want. I know it's this block that's highlighted. So then I go back to my graph paper and I double check my coordinates. I was like, oh, that should have been negative 100. And then you can start over again and go through the same process and just, oh, I messed up a second time. So now the one I fixed is not the one that was wrong. So let's double check that. This happens all the time when you code. So it must have been the one before. All right, so that's correct. That's correct. That one is not correct. So the actual issue is going to be the block before. So this is going to be the one that we're about to run. So this is the one I need negative 100. So now when I run that one, okay, that's right. And then this one I had correct before. Let's put it back to what it was. And let's see if that works. Oh, not quite. So let's try that one more time. This sometimes will happen over and over again. So you just got to keep checking your coordinates. If it helps, go back here. Just kind of go through them again. This will happen to you. It's like very natural. So I have negative 100, negative 100, negative 100, positive 50. So we have this one needs to go next. And this is something you're going to have to do on a lot of programs. You're going to have small mistakes and you're not going to know at first how to fix them, and you keep testing it out and you keep playing around with the numbers. You go back to your references, and it's a big part of the challenge with coding and computer science in general. All right, so we have our house. We're pretty happy with it. If you need help with saving and sharing, there's another video on that. I am going to do it real quick just to show you. But this is kind of the goal for the project, is to create some sort of design, graph it using Snap, and then save and share that. So Read through the rubrics to get full credit, because there are some criteria, like you need to use at least 12 points. It needs to be a recognizable shape. So double check the rubric just to make sure you're getting all of the criteria. So like if you submitted this, this is definitely a house, it's clear, but I don't have enough coordinates, so I wouldn't get full credit. So just make sure you're checking out the rubric. But the very last thing, let's talk about how to save. Make sure you're logged in, so this cloud needs to be white. If you're not logged in, log in. Then you're going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to give it a name. So I have a lot of projects here because I've done lots of Snap, but you will not have as many. So we're going to call this Drawing with Coordinates. Now, when you save things, you can use letters and spaces, but don't use punctuation marks, because sometimes when you share, if you have punctuation marks, it will mess up the link. So just letters and spaces and numbers if you want, but no punctuation. So I'm going to save it Drawing with Coordinates. That saved it, and you can see up here because it's called Drawing with Coordinates, but my website is still short, so it's not shared yet. So what I have to do is I have to go back, go to Open, and find that program again. So Drawing with Coordinates, and I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to click Share. It's going to say, yes, are you sure you want to share it? Now this has gotten bold, which means it's shared, but more importantly, this link up here is also much longer. It includes my username and the name of the project. There's some extra stuff in there just so the link works. What you're going to do is you're going to take this whole thing, you're going to copy it, and then you're going to paste it in the Google Doc for this assignment, and you're going to submit something. Now, you are not submitting this house. You are coming up with your own design. There's graph paper that'll be linked to this. Come up with your own design, draw something, play around with colors. There are some more advanced blocks if you want to read about. There's this fill block, and there's a couple other things. So give this a shot, and if you need any help, let us know, and we will try and fix it the best we can.